Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so I need a motion to adopt the agenda. Moved by Carabelli, supported by Kraft. Please vote. Motion passes 11-0. Approval of the minutes dated August 5th, 2019. Moved by Romano, support by Myjack. Please vote. Motion passes 11-0. Public participation. Does anyone wish to be heard? Anyone wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll move on. Appointment interviews, Office of Senior Services, Division Director. And I think we'll have Mr. Rea come up, Executive Rea.
JP's fine. We're all friends here.
Okay. And I'll let him open this up.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to be here on behalf of the Office of the County Executive. I am here this afternoon to recommend the confirmation of Ms. Sheila Cote for Director of the Office of Senior Services. Ms. Cote is here with us this afternoon to answer any questions that you may have. As I've taken on my responsibilities to work and oversee the Health and Community Services Division, one of the key positions that was vacant at the time of me onboarding was the Division Director of the Office of Senior Services. As we analyzed those operations with the Health and Community Services Division and with Macomb Community Action, myself, HNCS staff, and Andy McKinnon in HR established a search committee to fill the vacant position within OSS. The search committee facilitated a comprehensive pursuit of qualified candidates. There were over 123 applicants which met the standard qualifications for this position. As we vetted candidates, we interviewed 8 individuals and vetted through the standard human resources hiring process. And we are pleased to announce that this extensive process has yielded a standout candidate, Ms. Cote. She holds a Master's of Social Work degree from Wayne State University. Since 1988, she has worked for Macomb County Community Mental Health, engaging in progressive leadership assignments and rising to her current position as Director of Community Behavioral Health. Ms. Cote holds multiple certifications as a clinical social worker with the state of Michigan and has successfully operated several programs ranging from specialized care for both children and aging adults, same-day access for mental health services. She is a skilled grant writer and a seasoned manager of both union and non-union staff. We are also absolutely thrilled that she has been engaged in robust delivery of services to seniors throughout her tenure with community mental health and has also bring a host of behavioral, physical, and social challenges that she's addressed in her tenure. So with that being said, it is my honor and privilege to introduce Ms. Sheila Cote. Sheila, come on up.
Thank you, JP, for such a nice introduction. Good afternoon. I would like to thank you for your consideration and appreciate the opportunity to serve the seniors of Macomb. As I take on this position, my overarching goal is to improve the quality of life for seniors of Macomb. Initial steps I will take to accomplish this would include establishing a one-door access to services for seniors, explore grant opportunities to support evidence-based practices, review programs and identify gaps in care, establish quality measures and performance indicators to determine whether current programs are producing positive outcomes. I'd like to survey seniors and stakeholders to better define the community needs, partner with other county departments, such as the Sheriff's Department, the Health Department, Community Mental Health, to promote and ensure general wellness of our seniors, and to seek accreditations to move towards a program of excellence. Those are my goals to start. I haven't started the position yet, obviously, so I need to get in and take a look and see what is developing and what has worked and not worked, but I'm very excited about the opportunity, and I think I can make a big difference for seniors. So I'm open to any questions you might have.
Thank you. Okay, so I need a motion to concur. Moved by Carabelli, support by Sager. Commissioner Romano.
Hi.
With JP making your presentation, how can we refuse? Would you be my campaign manager while I'm thinking about?
I know,
Incidentally,
right? How can I go wrong?
It's always nice to promote from within. I like that, and I'm totally for it. I think you're going to make you're good at your position presently. I think you'll be even better at what we're hiring you to do. So good luck, and
Thank
we
you.
wish you the best.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that.
Okay, Commissioner Kraft, and then I'm going to turn this over to Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions or anything for you, Sheila. I just want to say Sheila's been a rock star for community mental health for years. I came on the board a couple of years ago, and you have been nothing but fantastic and extremely helpful. And I hate to lose you at CMH, but I'm happy that you're still sticking around, and you're going to be great at this new position, and I can't wait to work with you in this new role.
Thanks,
Good luck,
Phil.
Sheila.
Thank you very
Madam
much.
Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Kraft. Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations on the appointment. I want to throw something at you. I don't want an answer now, but when you get the time to settle into the job and digest it and come up with your plans and how you want to work the office, I'd like to know how you can improve the outreach. Meaning, our population here is fragmented through different communities, and not everybody belongs to a local senior center.
Right.
Yet there's seniors in churches and all over the place. And
Right.
somehow we're not getting these services out to them. And time after time, we hear about X amount of dollars of federal dollars coming in for certain programs and, the weatherization. I can go on to all these things, and we're throwing it at stuff sometimes and moving it because we can't spend it, and it has to be readjusted.
Right.
I would like equality through the county of every community, from the north to the south to the east to the west, and how we're going to reach out to all those seniors to offer them the benefits that we are providing, and a lot of them don't even know about it. So
Right.
again, not now, I'm not asking you to tell me, but when you have the chance to get in and roll up the sleeves, I'd like to hear how you would like to improve the outreach and
Yeah,
getting that.
I definitely will follow up with you. That's been on my mind and kind of twirling around up there. So part of the easy access to services is something I'm going to be looking into. Seniors often don't have transportation to get to the centers, right? So how do we reach out? How do we touch those individuals that might be homebound and can't get out? So I will be looking into that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And remember Shelby Township. Okay,
I will.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Leonetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations on the appointment. I want to thank Mr. McKinnon. I want to thank JP and Rhonda Powell from hiring from within. I see you've got many years with the county, and I'm really happy that you have a mental health background.
Yep.
I think sometimes that coincides a little bit with
Absolutely.
what we got, so I think that's a great fit.
Thank you.
I also liked what you stated here this afternoon about your top priorities. The open door policy
Yep.
and grants. Everybody here likes grants, especially Mr. Romano over there.
Yes.
So and it sounds like
with
you
the
have
budget.
you have a daft grant skill. So we're going to measure you to Candace Miller's department. When we see you doing a lot of
Okay.
grants like she does, then we know you're doing good. Can you explain a little bit about what the open door policy is, or a one door policy, I think is what you called it?
In my mind, one-door access is for caregivers and seniors to have one entranceway to services so that they can call and contact one number, one place. From there, they will be given direct referrals or direct information that they can use immediately. Right now, it seems to me from just my bird's eye view that services are spread out in silos. So to really partner with those other programs and try and get a one-door entrance for seniors so that it's not so confusing.
No, I think that's excellent.
Yeah.
What about web? You think you're going to do something on a web page, or?
I am certainly open to that. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Unfortunately, some seniors aren't adapt to using the computer either. So we, you
Sure.
always have to.
But you know
look
what?
at that.
Their children and their grandchildren are, so that
Exactly.
certainly can help. So no, I'm
Right.
really glad to have you on board. I really
Thank
like
you.
your background, and look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing more of you.
Thank
All righty.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Chairman Smith.
Thank you, and prematurely welcome.
Thank you.
One thing I want to correct, I think that normally we move to full board. We actually vote on this at full board, so the motion to concur probably should be to move to full board, so we don't actually vote on it today. We give you the opportunity to speak. It gives us a little bit of time, which I can't imagine will be any different than what you're hearing right now, but the motion should be either to receive and file the interview or to move to full board, so if we could change that when we're done. And then Phil, I thought you said you wanted us to vote no, so you could keep her at CMH. So you come highly recommended from Commissioner Kraft, and premature welcome, but I'm sure that it will be on the 20. What's the full board? 26th. Yes, will be the official vote.
Okay.
So
thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sauger. Chairman, Commissioner Sauger.
Yeah, sure. I can remember when you first came aboard and got hired at the county building over there.
Yep.
And you do come from a great family background.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
love
you.
your in-laws dearly. Thank you.
Yeah.
You
Thank
do a great job.
And they're seniors, by the way, that live in
know.
Macomb County.
And they vote, yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Commissioner Sauger. Got a couple of questions. Getting back to Commissioner Carabelli about your outreach. Each one of these commissioners knows the districts and the areas which you're going to serve better than you and the office, for a matter of fact. You need to really involve these commissioners. Back, you've been around long enough. You remember the senior outreaches we used to do religiously at the county, involving the county commissioners right there hand in hand, promoting what you're doing. You can do a good job promoting it by yourself, but you'll do it double better if you involve the County Board of Commissioners and involve each commissioner in their districts by including us in your outreach activities that you do there with your services.
I will do
By
that.
keeping a wall between us and what you do is not going to be productive. It's going to be, you'll be able to do it, but it won't be near as productive as involving more partners like us. Because we know many local partners that support your mission and want to help. So
Thank you.
You got a lot of friends up here that are willing to help if you're willing to take advantage of it. And you've been around long enough to know that that's true.
Yeah.
So
And it takes a village, right, to get services where they need to be. So I will be reaching out. Thank you.
I like your idea about the one door stop, one call maybe be a better term, right?
One call.
One call.
Right.
Would be great. And haven't they done that in the past? I thought normally I've had good experience with our senior department. They do good work calling there. Do you envision like type of marketing program to market a number? Say
Yep.
just call us, and then they'll
Yeah,
route you to the right spot.
Yep, through community mental health, we have what's called an access center. So it's one number that's publicized throughout the county, and that's the number that you call to access mental health services. And in my mind, I would envision something similar for our seniors, so that, again, if there's a caregiver that needs an answer to a question, they need assistance, if the senior themselves has a question, that we can have people available to answer those questions and direct them appropriately.
They always say the biggest room for improvement is every house has got a big room for improvement, and that's an area you can certainly help and improve upon, and it'll help our jobs because we all get calls from our constituents, and we are their one call, and we figure it out. We run it to ground for them to get what they're looking for, to give them a number to contact.
Right.
But
There's 20 different numbers, right?
exactly.
You're not
But
sure where
when
to
we
send
figure
them.
it out. But
Yeah.
But anyway, it'd be good for them. So I appreciate that, and look forward to hearing from you going forward.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners have any comments? We're just going to receive and file this, and if the maker of the motion would withdraw.
I put my name on because I was going to apologize to Chair Brown for my error. I just wanted to say I think you're going to do a wonderful job. So,
Thank you.
I think if they just rescind, we don't even need a motion.
That's right, very good. No apologies necessary. Very good, thank you. Thank you very much. You have a
Thank
pleasant
you.
afternoon.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you in the end of the month. Next is item B, a Substance Use Disorder Oversight Board. Is Michael here? Will you please come up and introduce yourself to the board and tell us about yourself, and we'll probably ask you some questions. Thank you.
Okie dokie. Well, my name is Michael Barrett, and I've spent a good chunk of my life living in Macomb. Last 2/3 of the last 30 years I've been in Wayne County, though, and I currently work in community mental health as a case manager. And all the time you were talking, I was thinking about how about a geriatric specific ACT team, but that's just me thinking out loud. I was on an ACT team in mental health in Wayne County for 8 years, and we disbanded because we couldn't go 24/7. We didn't have the staff for it. Before that, I was a funeral director in the same area, and I quit being a funeral director because I couldn't help people anymore. And I was getting yelled at for giving people counseling when I was supposed to be embalming and all that other stuff. So I went back to school and got my degree in counseling. I specialized in substance abuse, and I've learned a lot about mental health in the last 10 years working at Southwest Counseling Solutions, which is a pretty big organization. I do case management work right now, and I'm office-based. And I've been on the Substance Use Disorder Board since 2014. I've really enjoyed looking at the administrative side of things, looking at how things get done, because when you're outside of that, we scratch our heads and wonder, what are these people thinking? What's going on? You know, we need this, that, and the other thing. And I see how difficult it can be sometimes to get money and things pushed around now coming from this side of it. The other real impetus for me to be a part of substance use disorder is the fact that I've been in recovery myself for 31 years. And I know what it's like to be on the other side of that and what it's like to be on the good side of that. And I spend my days and nights really trying to find ways to help people. That's really what I do, and that's why I'd like to continue on the board. I really enjoy being there. That's it.
Oh, yes. Very good. I'm not Mike. Commissioner Myjack.
Yeah, thank you for coming here today, Michael. You're a fine individual, and I support your reappointment. I just have a question.
Sure.
How does what you do in this oversight board deal with the county jail? A lot of people are in the county jail due to drugs, alcohol, substance abuse, and I'm wondering what type of relationship does the board have with anybody in the jail, if any?
That would be Barb's department, Barb McCaskey. She's the one that works with the jails and that, and she brings us knowledge. I don't really know.
Can you explain who's that again, and what is she? The person's name, and which board is that?
Barb McCaskey. She's on the board. She's the chair, and she brings us the information from what's going on in that venue. I don't really know. I listen to what she has to say and learn. That's really it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I see no other speakers. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you at the end of the month.
Is that it?
We're all done. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
No, I'm good.
We have another spot that's open, but we're going to re-advertise that for another position on this board. We didn't have any vacancies apply. We're going to reapply and repost that position, and we'll try to fill that position in the future, so stand by. Item 7 is department recommendations. We have a collective bargaining agreement with UAW 412. Mr. McKinnon, if you could come up and give us a brief on that, we'd appreciate it. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Brown. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the Commission. Thank you for your time today. We are bringing you the last agreement through the classification and compensation study. We have come to an agreement with UAW 412. I'm very, very pleased with what we have been able to do through this process. We have been able to put some more money into our employees' pockets, which is fantastic because we all know the kind of road we've had to hoe in public sector the last 10 years. This group in particular has 219 active employees. The last time I checked, of course, that could have changed since I got up here at the microphone. They approved the agreement, the tentative agreement, by a 92% to 8 margin. So we are extremely happy that that's the type of response we got on this agreement. I'm happy to open it up to questions and answer anything that you might have for me.
This is consistent with the prior agreement that we've submitted. Is there any marketable changes compared to the prior agreements that weren't included?
There are no changes. We have done the exact same thing with every individual group as we move forward on this. We've been very consistent in our proposals on this matter.
So this puts to bed all of the units?
Yes, there were 3 units that did not settle with us, and they just said that we'll go into contract negotiations for the 2020 and beyond calendar years. But this does finalize the class and comp study wage reopeners that were in the current collective bargaining agreements for 2019.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. My team did an extraordinary job, and Steve Smiegel and his team deserve a ton of credit for this as well.
It takes a team, it certainly does. Commissioner Leonetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I wanted to congratulate you too. I've heard good things from both sides. I know you came into this thing, right in the, right when it was bottom up, really, and so you've done a really good job. And I wanted to let you know what I've heard from people on both sides, that you've done a good job. So I'm going to give you a lot of good credit for that. I'm not going to give Steve any credit until the end of the year when we're done with budget, but I'm just teasing Steve. But no, congratulations, and word on the street, both sides have been pleased with some of your work. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's
Yep.
very kind.
Yep.
Getting increase in contracts makes everyone's happy.
Everybody but Smeagol.
We can give a little back. All right, there's no questions. I need a motion to send this to full board. Moved by Commissioner Leonetti, supported by Commissioner Romano. Please vote. That item passes, Mr. McKinnon. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
and your
Commissioner
staff
Brown.
again for us. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
You abstain, did you say? I'm just joking. I'm just joking. All right. You can't get it, but be quiet. All right. Item B is a settlement agreement with the United States at District Court case. Mr. Shapka, any,
Yes, thank you, Chair. Purpose for appearing before you here today is to get your concurrence and proposed settlement of the matter of Alvarez Malign versus County of Macomb and others. The others are the CCS medical director, nurse practitioner, half dozen nurses, and the corporation itself. Mr. Malign was a guest resident of our jail for just about 11 months. He passed away while in custody, just 3 weeks short of his release. Cause of death was a saddle blood clot that occluded or blocked both of the arteries leading from the heart down to the lungs. Once that happens, it stops the flow of blood, essentially, and eventually no oxygenated blood reaches the brain. Dr. Spitz performed the autopsy, and he is the only doctor involved in this case that actually laid eyes on this clot. He said it was about the size of my thumb. It was organizing, but not yet organized. I had to ask him to explain that one to me. An organizing blood clot is the process of going from a liquid state to a solid state. The more organized, the more pasty, rubbery, solid it is. He said this one was organizing, and that's very important to gauging its lifespan in the body before it caused death. At the point where it occluded the two arteries where they branch, it just like a saddle, it blocked both of them at the same time. He said at that point, death is certain 2 to 3 minutes later, which means the blood clot could not have been at that point for Mr. Malign's 10-month stay in our jail. In fact, he opined that the blood clot most likely formed, as they always do, or almost always, in a lower extremity, probably a day or two prior to breaking loose. They form in the lower legs and will sit there for a while, breaks loose, circulates upward, and if you think of the human anatomy, as it goes upward to the heart, the arteries get bigger and bigger rather than smaller and smaller. So they flow more freely. They can pass through the heart to chambers of the heart and then start the passage to the lungs. And there the arteries get smaller and smaller and smaller. So that's where they lodge. His opinion, I think, is very important because plaintiff's claim is that during the entire 10 months of Malign's stay in the jail, he was denied adequate medical care. He was not denied adequate medical care. He saw medical 17 times during his stay. And I listed the visits and just gave you a very thumbnail sketch of why he was there, which is significant because at the beginning they're generalized complaints, but as we go through time, they become more focused on difficulty breathing, lung pain, difficulty breathing, shortness of breath. The real operant time period is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, March of 2016. Friday is March 4th. He died on Monday, the 7th. That is the time frame that Dr. Spitz was talking about. The blood clot formed, it broke loose, went through the heart, which is a matter of minutes, actually, lodged and caused his death a few minutes after that. Plaintiff's father is the personal representative of the estate. The baseline of his claim is that they simply missed the diagnosis at every turn that they had the opportunity to make the diagnosis. And to an extent, that is true. They never diagnosed blood clot disorder or blood clot problems, therefore they never treated blood clot problems. The law in this area, the law that governs the adequacy of in-custody medical care, is radically different as it applies to individuals as opposed to entities like the county. The individuals in this case that I'm concerned about are the sheriff and the former jail administrator, Michelle Sanborn. Neither had any contact with him, neither were even aware he was in the jail, and absent awareness or appreciation of his medical condition, they simply can't be held responsible for what happens. For an individual to be held liable, they have to be aware of the problem, and then they have to turn a blind eye to it. If you don't know of the problem, you don't know of the individual, you don't have the chance or opportunity to turn a blind eye to their plight. Both have motions pending in front of the U.S. District Court. Judge Cohn is presiding on this. I have very little doubt that their motions are going to be granted because he's granted precisely that motion for these individuals on other cases over the last 2 years. The county's position is a little bit more ticklish. The county, the law is a lot different as it applies to governmental entities. To find a governmental entity liable in a federal constitutional civil rights deprivation claim, and the right to medical care and custody is a civil right under the 14th Amendment, it is incumbent on a plaintiff to prove a couple of rather arcane things. Number one, the county had a policy or practice of delivering inadequate care. That policy or practice is proven not with Malign's case, but in prior cases. The policy of bad medical care, the practice of bad medical care must exist prior to Malign's crisis, and then Malign's case has to fit within that policy, has to be consistent with the policy. That is ordinarily very, very, very difficult for a plaintiff, but our jail has had a lot of bad press and a lot of jail deaths and custody deaths over the last several years. I choose to excise all the deaths that have no component of medical care and posit that they just don't create the pattern because they had nothing to do with medical care. So we take out all the hangings, we take out the heart attacks in the middle of the night, we take out prisoner-on-prisoner violence, we take out overdose on smuggled-in drugs. None of those require or involve a medical treatment adequacy issue. That leaves us with just 3 cases, one of which is Malign. Stojiewski is the second, and Myers is the second. Whether 2 prior cases is sufficient to show that the county had a policy or a practice is questionable. The decision in that regard is always going to be up to the judge. It is a question of law, not a question of fact. And you're really dealing with, well, unfortunately, you're dealing with a human being, and those decisions get made based on, are they happy that day? Are they sad that day? Did somebody cut them off in traffic? Was the toast burned? You can't predict what call will be made. I think it's fairly clear that 2 is insufficient, but it's up to Judge Cohn. I filed the county's motion along with Wickersham and Sanborn's motion. I filed them on a Friday, timely. Monday morning, plaintiff's counsel called. It's critical because he had the motions over the weekend, he read them. And he said, we'll dismiss all of our claims against your 3 clients for $25,000. This is a death case. $25,000 is less than nuisance value in a death case. I guess I'm proud of myself that the motion scared him enough that he went to his client over the weekend and said, look, you better take whatever they're going to offer you. $25,000 is also a little bit over half of what I think we'll spend out of pocket trying the case. Expert witnesses, this is a medical issue, so the experts are all doctors. There's a general practitioner standards. There is a nurse practitioner standards expert, a pulmonologist, and a cardiologist. That'll cost us $40,000. That's actually splitting the cost with CCS. We can settle it for the $25,000 and walk away, or we can not settle it, hope I'm right on the motions. If I'm not, Hope I'm right about our chances in trial. If I'm not, then I'd be back here telling you, well, it cost us $3 million. I'm awfully sorry about that. Trust me, I did not want to bring this to you because I really like our chances, but it would be awfully reckless to not settle this for $25,000.
Thank you, Mr. Shapko. Mr. Kleinfeld.
Thank you.
Jim?
First of all, good job. I want to again express my protest that we do not have the opportunity to ask any sensitive questions in closed session because there's been a determination amongst people that he's not our attorney under certain circumstances. We also, I want the board to realize, don't get our updates anymore. We don't get updates on any of our pending litigation, and we worked hard to set up that framework to get those updates. If you remember, it took like a year to get that set. We don't get them anymore because of that decision. I think it's a bad decision. I think when he is updating us and when he's coming to us for a recommendation in that capacity, as far as I'm concerned, he's our attorney and we should be in closed session. I said it last month. I'm protesting again this month, and I hope other commissioners will join me eventually in this because a handful of people made this decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Duje.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. Question.
Yes.
If we go with the settlement, is this counted as a gig against us? One of the three?
Actually, no. No, it isn't. Every settlement, I don't care what kind of case it is, the settlement carries within the settlement paperwork an express provision that there is no decision on liability, guilt, for lack of a better term.
Right.
This is a compromise matter, contractual in nature. So no, it's not a gig against us. It would not go down in the column of the court has decided you do in fact have an unconstitutional policy.
So we'd have two
others
going forward.
Well, one is
debatable.
One is pending, and the
Yes.
other is pending. They could go either way. If we prevail on both of those, then there's absolutely no track record whatsoever establishing
Well,
unconstitutional policy.
I'm concerned about the track record.
Yeah, me too. It's that track record in the claim against the county, which is always the biggest difficulty for plaintiff to prove.
Right. All right. So as long as it doesn't
This
go
does
against.
not go against
Okay,
the track
that's what I want to know. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Nice job.
Thank you. Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to get into a dialogue on what Commissioner
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. We're talking about this
brought up.
case only, period.
Bear with me, please, little latitude. I think that maybe I'm a little, maybe I misunderstood what was implied before, and there's no reason why the update should stop coming from us. I don't know who authorized John not to give us updates anymore. I'm befuddled. So this is something I would ask that we could get on the
I'll
agenda.
look into that.
Because I don't believe that that's how I understood everything was to work. So again, I'm not looking to get into that now, but I think maybe it was misinterpreted. Not saying that I'm right, but I would like to talk to parties involved who know more about it than I do. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. Should I call you attorney or doctor? I mean, we explained it. I thought maybe you had some medical now. John, I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. Let it go. Listen, let it go.
Technically, lawyers are doctors.
Let it go.
We have Juris Doctor degrees.
I mean, we just got some medical updates on.
But if you called me a
on
doctor,
how
I'd
this
look
guy-
around and wonder who
I don't
you're
think that was all
talking to.
necessary, but anyway.
He's 100% right. We are doctors, Juris Doctor.
Yeah.
Well, Andy, this is my floor. Thank you.
You
John?
learn, every case you do, you learn this kind of stuff. You have to learn it to defend the case.
When there is a death involved, first of all, I'm always against trying to settle for 6 stitches in his head. I fell down off the bed. I'm one of those guys. I won't. This is my vote. I'd always vote no. When there's a death involved, and the PR that we've received recently, as you just mentioned, I honestly think we're getting off. And I agree with Ms. Kleinfeld. I think this should be talked to in closed session. But I totally agree. I think I think we should settle this. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
John, this is covered under insurance, is that correct?
No, the insurance would not kick in, our current coverage would not kick in until $750,001.
Okay,
The first $750 is always on the county.
so it's
So
coming
if
out
this
of
went for-
general fund is what you're saying?
Yeah,
then?
if this,
Okay.
assume you didn't settle it, I'm wrong on the motions, I'm wrong on our trial chances, and it's a $3 million verdict, the county would pay the first $750, then the insurance company would pay the balance,
Thank you.
and then raise our rates.
And I would ask the chair, the subject we're not going to talk about, could we put it on a future agenda to talk about? Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Well, the item that we're not going to talk about, I'm going to talk about. But only to this point, and I'll tell you this. I'll say that the board never asked anybody to stop giving us reports, number one. Number two, I know we were cautioned that at certain times and in certain cases, we have to be very sure on whether we're being represented or whether it's, or we're not. So there's different times, and I think what we need to do is exactly what we said, kind of clarify this, because I would certainly see in a case like this where there's no conflict among the different groups that you represent, that we would certainly consider you as our attorney on these type of cases. So I will say that I agree with that we need to straighten this out, and I think that'll be done
It will be done.
fairly quickly.
I need a motion to either deny or approve this.
Make a motion to approve?
Yes, forward to the full board.
Yes.
Motion by Romano, supported by Commissioner Leonetti. Any more discussion? Please vote. Thank you, Mr. Shapka. Item C, Older Advisory Committee, Senior Volunteer of the Year Recognition Program. Patty is going to speak to us about this. Floor is yours, Patty. Thank you.
Thank you. The Older Adult Advisory Committee met and recommended that the board consider expanding our existing volunteer recognition program to include a special award designation for someone who is over the age of 60 and has completed, some of the requirements that you have a sheet in front of you to review. And so they made that recommendation and are hoping you guys will approve it, and they are committed to helping with the process.
The motion been made, supported by Commissioner Ford. Any discussion on this item? Let's see the details here. I want to show everyone wants to speak. Everyone, all those in favor, please vote.
You see how concise you can be, John, and still get a good vote?
Okay, it's approved. Item 8 is proclamations. Item A, motion by Commissioner Dujay, supported by Commissioner Gillette, to approve proclamation A. Commissioner Dujay, could you give us a few bars on the Ukrainian chorus?
No.
All right. You never know. All right.
But
Motion
that
made
being
and
said,
supported. Everyone please vote. Very good. That motion is approved. That'll be sent to the full board. Correspondence, need a motion to receive and file the correspondence. Moved by Commissioner Trulette, supported by Commissioner Myjack. Please vote. Thank you. Item 10 is new business. Any new business coming before the committee? Commissioner Kleinfeld?
The director of MAC was in today to visit, and since the issue came up yesterday about the local units of government having the ability to tax for roads, it's not something that he thought was generally out there, but since it is, he is wanting to know how commissioners feel. It could go either way. Commissioners might feel like that's their job, and commissioners might feel like we had the ability, and he's kind of doesn't know what position Mac would have, but he's just curious, so any commissioners that want to let me know their feelings on that so that I could pass it on, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in a new business? Seeing none, we'll close new business. Item 11 is public participation. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Anyone from the public wish to be heard?
I'm here for reappointment for the Substance Use Board, but my name wasn't called yet. So. Did you submit an application?
Did you submit an application, ma'am?
Yep, the application has already been submitted. I already received notification to be here today.
I don't know what happened. Well, staff will deal with you after the meeting. Thank you. We
Chair?
can't have public, we can't keep discussion during public participation, so I did more than expected. Item 12 is adjournment. Anyone move to adjourn? Moved by Commissioner Duzay, supported by Commissioner Gillette. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes carry. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.